to talk about something that I have, some passion about, and that is education. So I've spent 18 years teaching in both urban and suburban schools, and over the past 18 years I've seen a lot of changes in education. But one of the things that I've seen more than anything else is this shift towards eliminating any opportunity for students to fail. So today I'm going to make the case that instead of trying to prevent failure, we encourage it. So that's the goal today. So technology has been probably the biggest change in the way we do education in the last 18 years. However, as educators, this presents a lot of problems. First off, teachers don't know education. In terms of education technology, it changes so quickly. We know our content, I know science, but apps change, technology changes, and it takes a long time for us to learn it. And by the time we learn it and get good at it, something new is already out there. And so professional development always lags behind the changes in technology. In addition to that, because it changes so quickly, there's a lot of resistance to change, to adopting new technology. And the shift to online education sounds really, really good. And when you go to college, you'll have the opportunity to take some online coursework. However, it's not the right fit for everybody. So even in high school, the state of Missouri shifted to allowing all high school students to take high school coursework online now, instead of in the classroom. For some kids, this is really good. And for other kids, time management is such a problem that they'll get in over their heads before they realize it. Finally, the cost of technology is really, really more than most school districts can handle. And so they adopted what's called a bring your own policy, where students get to bring their own technology, their phones, their laptops, their tablets, and they get to use those instead. So technology is a challenge for our current educational system. The next big challenge for our current educational system is grade inflation. Now, grade inflation sounds like it shouldn't be such a problem, because GPAs have only risen in the past 30 years from like a 2.75 to a 3.1. But these are almost solely related to changes in A's and B's. And that is attributed in most aspects to weighted grades. And so weighted grades can be correlated to this grade inflation. So when you go to college, colleges don't look at weighted grades anymore. They only look at your unweighted GPA. Yet we focus quite a bit on weighted grades in high school. So that's a challenge, getting kids to understand that weighted grades don't really mean much. Another challenge, and we have thought a lot about this here at Marquette, is cheating. And cheating in the traditional sense, like in between classes, what was on the test, that's gone on since I was in high school, probably since my parents were in high school. And we get that as teachers. That it doesn't concern us as much as the prevalence of electronic cheating. Whether it's purchasing an essay online, or it's taking a picture of a test, or creating one document and sharing it with all your friends, or any number of ways of cheating. And why this concerns us is because in the long run, if somebody else does the work, you don't get the knowledge. It doesn't work that way. But even more so is, according to U.S. News and World Report, colleges in the U.S. only accept about 66% of their applicants. Yet our job as teachers is to make sure that you get into the college that you want to get into. And how are we supposed to do that if you're not really doing the work? So this is a concern for us as well. Finally, education in the last probably 10 to 15 years has increased 68% in costs. The current college education on average is $36,000 a year in tuition. That doesn't include room and board. So we're quickly pricing kids out of the market when it comes to a college education. So when you take all of these factors together as an educational climate, we're in a conundrum because we have a situation where GPA is not measuring what we want it to measure, right? to be able to critically think, to contribute to society, to be able to do things in the future that they want to do. So we need to change that. It also poses a problem for students. And you guys will know this because you live it every day, right? So the first problem is that from the moment you walk in the door at high school, you feel this competition. Like, there's always been competition in high school. There's kind of the known competition, like the athletics, speech and debate, Stuco, like who's the most popular, kind of unwritten competition, king and queen and homecoming court or prom court or whatever. But then you have this added competition. We're a pretty academically focused school, so there's this kind of like, it's there all the time competition from freshman year on. You hear it as freshman teachers. What college are you going to go to? You walk in the door, first day of school. What college are you going to go to? It's crazy, right? You're freshmen. You don't even know what you like yet you're expected to know what college you want to go to. And then kids will be like, well, I want to go to Yale. I want to go to Princeton. Do you realize how hard it is to get into those schools? It's like really, really, really hard. That's not the worst of it, though, right? So we're already putting pressure on it as a freshman. When it comes to getting admitted to those kinds of schools, you have about between a 2 and 10% chance of getting into those schools. So think about that for just a minute. 66% chance on average. And now to get into those schools, between 2 and 10%. So you're setting your sights on a school that you may not be able to get into. Now I'm not saying don't do that, but we are not preparing you for this time and point when it doesn't happen. We don't help you find a plan B, right? We've told you, do all these things, check all these boxes, be involved in this speech and debate, have an officer position, do your service hours, be in National Honor Society, do all these things, and you'll get in the school that you want. But then we don't give you a plan B. So we're really making it hard when you do fail, because we haven't prepared you for when that happens. And it will happen. If it doesn't happen then, it'll happen at some point in your life. You're going to fail. It happens to all of us. It's okay. And then there's all these distractions. For some of us, it's just sitting next to our best friend in class. And that's okay. Those are healthy distractions. You have to learn how to work with people you like. You have to work with people you like, because we all have friends we work with, and you still got to get your job done. That's a good thing. And then you have to learn how to work with people you don't really like and still get your job done, and that's a good thing. But there's also all these electronic distractions. The number of times students whip out their phone in class drives you crazy as a teacher. It was so bad that the National Education Association commissioned a study, an NPR reported on it. They estimate on average, the average high school senior spends 2 hours a day texting in school. 2 hours a day on their phone, searching, internet, Googling, doing things, looking for things. And 2 hours a day on social media. 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day. What are they doing in school? Right? Well, the students will say, well, I'm multitasking. Right? I'm multitasking. I can do them both. Well, the National Center for Biotechnology Information says, well, you really can't. All right? Information comes in through this particular part of your brain, and it's like a doorway. Only so much information can come in at one time. And when you have so much information coming in, it reduces your processing ability to the point where you're essentially at the same ability or performance level as if you were driving a car intoxicated. So imagine, we wouldn't want our teenagers driving a car while they're intoxicated, but yet we'll let them come to school with a cell phone, doing all those things, and expect them to learn calculus or AP biology or AP government or lit or whatever. And as parents, we let them do this. I mean, I'm a parent. I gave my kids a cell phone. I didn't say don't get on it in class, right? I probably texted them when they were at school. Because you just don't think about it. It's such a part of what we do as humans. This communication is so easy. kids learn what is good information. And we're not currently doing that, like intentionally. There's some teachers who are doing it here and there. We do it a little bit in science, a little bit in language arts, but it's not like a focused part of our curriculum. But yet, it is absolutely a skill students need. So when you think about these challenges that students are facing, here's the issue. Students come into high school, they're making choices because they think they're going to go to one of these elite colleges. They're making educational choices, as in what classes they're taking. They're making extracurricular choices, as in what clubs and activities and athletics they're doing. They're making moral choices. Am I going to cheat? Am I not going to cheat? They are making choices about what distractions they're going to be involved in that are going to make impacts on their test-taking abilities today, but could also impact their brain development that could impact them later on down the road. The other thing that we see as educators that has really increased dramatically in the last few years has more to do with the students' ability to cope than to do with their academics. And this is really concerning because it's a lot harder for us to figure out how to deal with. In the 18 years that I've been a teacher, I can honestly say that I see more stress today than I've ever seen. It is to the point where there are so many studies out there about what's going on. There was a Pew Research study that came out just this past February that said, in a survey of high school students throughout the United States, 70% of them said they were highly concerned about their peers when it came to stress and anxiety. The CDC said that the suicide rates between teenagers between the ages of 10 and 17 has increased 70% in the last 10 years. So these are concerning parts. We've all been affected by these things. One of the reasons that we think is contributing to this is this overcommittedness that is being driven by some of the challenges that they're seeing. This desire to get to this college, this desire to be better than, to get the best GPA, to make sure that they can compete in a world that they're not even sure that it's going to be. We also haven't prepared them to fail. So they prepare not to fail. They do everything they can to not fail because they're so afraid of failure that they will avoid it at all costs. And then when they do, they don't know how to deal with it, so they avoid it. So I failed something, I'm not going to go to school. I failed something, I'm not going to go back to that club. It's a problem that we haven't helped kids gain skills to learn how to deal with. And finally, being teenagers, they have this desire to do good. But they also have expectations that adults should feel the same way. And we see with climate change, with like automation in terms of the future job force, they're concerned. They're concerned that there won't be a healthy climate, a healthy job field for them to choose from, but they don't see adults doing anything about it. So they feel that they're going to not only have to do something about it, but inherit a mess from us. And that, even though is not a tangible concern, it's an underlying concern. So if you take all of that, many educators, parents, psychologists, certainly people on college campuses feel that we are at a crisis point when it comes to our students in terms of their mental health. That we will have students in this next generation who may not be capable of having a healthy mental health life because of persistent stress throughout their educational life. So how do we deal with that, right? How do we fix it? So I think that I'm very fortunate that I work in this particular school. We have been working with our district here at Rockaway the last couple of years, thinking about how can we change high school? How can we make small changes so that we can teach you guys some of these skills so that you do not end up in this kind of bleak situation, right? How do we help you? Well, one of the things that we need to focus on is that kind of internet-based skill. So how do we do it? Well, We're still working on incorporating those concrete strategies. So there's a committee working on that. I don't have the name answer, but I can tell you we're working on it. I can tell you that we have figured out we're going to incorporate some kind of a capstone or passion project. One really good example is the Authentic Science Research Project, kind of classroom idea. So we took that, we're going to take it and expand it across all areas where students get to pick a project they're really interested in and then use that for part of their graduation requirements. I don't have all the details, but it's there. We're going to teach you how to de-stress because you guys need to figure this out. You're so stressed out. We all need it. Maybe in the flex time, you'll have an opportunity to do some yoga or just go sleep. It'll be okay. Like your teacher's going to be like, go relax. It seems counterintuitive, but we know as teachers, you need that downtime. You don't think you do, but it is so important. As little kids, we give you recess because it's important. As teenagers, you don't take that time, but you should. You need to learn to prioritize growth, learning, understanding over your GPA. It doesn't define you. What you know does, all right? You need to take ownership. And I really wish that we could change it to where we actually measure how much you've learned versus what your end grade was. Now that's going to be a lot harder. It's going to be harder to convince you guys to do that, and it's going to be a lot harder to convince your parents and everybody else to do that as well. But in a real world, if I had my way, that's how we would measure it, all right? And then we want to support you, and flex time is how we're going to do that. We really, really want to give you guys the ability to make those choices. And when you fail, we want to pick you up, all right? It's not going to be an easy transition. Hopefully it is, but if it's not, your teacher's going to be there to help you. But that's how Rockwood envisions helping you deal with some of what we see in the educational community. All right, I'd like to thank you guys for letting me come and talk.